I got over 1,000 users in the first 30 days after launching my software product, LeadFlow. And in this video, I'm going to explain what LeadFlow is, what it does, who uses it, and then go into detail on how I got these users, the different channels and methods that were used, what worked, what didn't, what I would do again, what I wouldn't do again, the mistakes I made, and kind of just share my experience about, building this software product and then marketing it and getting users. So real quick, if you don't know me, my name is David Bosovitz. This is my YouTube channel. Welcome. Feel free to subscribe. But anyways, let's rewind back to the beginning of 2025, around January. So almost a year ago now. It's December right now. I got this idea for a software product, and it ended up turning into LeadFlow. But basically, the whole idea was, basically what LeadFlow does is it monitors local Facebook community groups. It runs it through AI, so like a LLM. We're using Gemini API, and we're basically filtering out any people that are interested in getting some sort of work done. We're basically scanning for leads and then enriching these leads and sending them out to local service businesses and whatever other companies can use these leads. So basically, we're getting leads from local community Facebook groups. If you don't know, Facebook groups, there's a ton of them. They're all over the world actually, but right now we're just, in the US. But basically any city in the US, any suburb in the US, as long as it has a decent amount of people, they will have a very, very active community group for their area where homeowners engage, where younger people engage as well. But it's mostly, older people just because it is Facebook. And I come from a home service, local service background. So I used to own a landscaping company, and we would pay, Google for leads, Facebook for leads, Nextdoor for leads. And another way that we would get work was these local Facebook groups. So, knowing that information, that's kind of what sparked the idea. Like, hey, we get a decent amount of work from these local Facebook groups, but like we don't get every single lead that's in there because you have to be like sitting in the group just monitoring it. By the time, Shelly down the street makes a post saying, hey, I need a landscaper, or does anyone have a referral for a roofer, that sort of stuff. So this system basically monitors it for you, and whenever someone does make a post like that, instantly it sorts it, it enriches that data using a couple public data sets and private data sets, and adds like a phone number, an email address, a home address to that lead, and then sends it off to that service provider. So in a nutshell, that's what LeadFlow does. Right now, it's primarily local home service businesses using it. So think, roofers, landscapers, tree guys, like remodeling, bathroom, stuff like that. So like I said, I got the idea back in January of this year, and I began talking to developers in the US. It was way too expensive to develop anything like this in the US, like just absorbently high. So we ended up going with a development team out in Europe. They were able to do it, very well for, a very small percentage of the U.S. price. Anyways, they started development. They developed it over time, and then it became time to actually market the product and get users for it. So there were three main ways that we got users. Actually, first I'll go in and say, so for this product, the pricing on it, we offered a 14-day free trial that turned into a $299 a month subscription, or a 14-day free trial that turned into a $699 a quarter subscription. That was in the beginning. Then we shortened it to a 7-day free trial with the subscriptions. But in the beginning, we were offering 14 days for free. And just to give you an idea of the value proposition, in these local services, like for example, when I had my landscaping company, I would easily pay $50, $100, $150 per lead, because that customer could end up being, a $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 customer, like for a residential patio or residential retaining wall. So, these leads are, they cost money. So we come in and we basically say, hey, we'll give you unlimited leads as much as are coming through in your local area, in your local groups, and you just pay us a flat monthly rate of either $2.99 or $6.99. So that was basically our value proposition. And one of the nice things was we gave a free trial, which no other company really does. Like, if you look at Thumbtack, they don't offer a free trial. If you look at Angie, they don't offer a free trial. They make you sign, a yearly contract. And then if you have like a local, service marketing agency, I mean, maybe they'll do stuff like that, but you know, that's, I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, that was the value proposition. All right. So three main ways that we got customers, and I'll kind of go over each one in detail. We'll start with the first one was Facebook groups. So we actually use Facebook groups to promote this tool, which worked insanely well, but I wish we never did it, and I'll tell you why. So if you don't know, there's tons of Facebook groups that you can find for contractors, local service businesses, home service businesses in the US. So think like Landscapers of America Facebook group, or Hardscapers of America Facebook group, or Roofers of America Facebook, like that type of stuff. So there's like hundreds of those groups. And basically, we were trying to get pushed in these groups. And how we ended up doing it was trying out a couple different style of posts. So I think I tried maybe 6 or 7 posts before I found one that would consistently go viral and get a bunch of likes and a bunch of comments and add a bunch of people to our waitlist via email address or join our Facebook group as well. So right now we have a lead flow Facebook group. It has about like 600 something members in it. So we would also funnel people into there. So after about 6 or 7 posts, we found a winning format, and then we just reposted that, 2-3 times a week across all those groups for about a month. All right. So by the end of that, from that alone, I believe we had an email wait list of about 2,000-3,000 people, and we built up a Facebook group of about 600-700 people just from free Facebook groups. So in terms of the cost to email list subscriber or waitlist subscriber, anything like that, it was by far the lowest one. However, the one thing that I did end up regretting for doing it was we weren't able to control where the user was coming from. So with ads, with all the other stuff that we did, we could be a lot more targeted on the location from which we're getting users. With Facebook groups, if you're posting it to a group with 50,000 users, you don't know if Joe is coming in from New York or Joe is coming in from a cornfield out in Iowa, all right? In one area, our product works great. In another, it doesn't work at all. So when we launched, we were active in the top 300 US cities. So we had people, joining in the middle of nowhere, wondering like, hey, why isn't this working for me? Why am I paying and not seeing any results? And that, that was a mistake on my part, I'm gonna be honest, but the Facebook groups, they were super good for getting low cost users, but you aren't able to be very targeted with them. So my recommendation, if you have a SaaS or you're thinking about, building a SaaS and you're trying to figure out ways to market it, if your SaaS, if your software isn't dependent on a location, then Facebook groups are phenomenal. If it is, you might want to think twice about that. So that was the first way. Overall, very good, very easy, very simple, very low cost. Only downside, you can't be super targeted about what kind of people you bring in. That was the first way. The second way was cold email. I know cold email is pretty popular for promoting softwares, especially like B2B softwares, which this is. So I never really used cold email up until like us launching this software. So I actually had to learn cold email and automations because of this. I've done all sorts of other types of direct response advertising and marketing, but cold email just wasn't one of them. Anyways, I kind of took those skills and applied it here as well. And I actually ended up winning an award from Instantly for being like one of their best cold email marketers. So it wasn't too difficult to learn, at least for me. But I'll say cold email was definitely a very, very good channel for driving users for lead flow. At peak, we were sending out about 40,000 emails a day, cold emails. And basically what it looked like is we found a winning copy, a winning email copy and headlines, a couple of variations, and then we'd send out this email to, a huge email list. We have an email list of over like 1 million cold prospects. um, if you are getting a email list of cold prospects, I would definitely recommend either scraping them or buying them from someone who already has them, that are like recent, and just like getting them verified. Don't go through an official broker, because at first that's what I was planning on doing, and then I got quoted like $20,000 for 100,000 contacts, which is insane. I ended up building an email list of over 1 million small businesses in the U.S., home service businesses. So think painters, roofers, landscapers, HVAC, all of those types, for less than $1,500, and that was a mix of scraping and then also buying and trading from other people in email community groups. Instantly community group is a great one. But yeah, um, let's see. So yeah, as for the automations, I used Instantly. At first, I started with sending out about 400, 500 cold emails a day. I was looking at the conversion rates. I will say with cold email, it did take some time to find a winning copy. With Facebook ads, TikTok ads, any sort of other, advertisement, I think it's a lot easier to find something that converts quickly. With cold email, I tested out over like 100 different email copies and headlines before I found one that converted extremely well. And throughout the entire process, I think I probably tested over 500 different variations. And what ended up working the best was a short email, and kind of treating cold email like direct response marketing. Literally, like, blast them out and just say, at the end, like the winning email was like 2 sentences long. Keep that in mind. And the last line was like, if you're interested and you want this XYZ, just reply yes and I'll send it over. And when someone raises their hand from this cold email saying yes, then I'd follow up with a second, it's automated. Instantly does a really good job at it, but I'd follow up with a second sales email. And this would be a much longer copy. It include multiple links, multiple testimonials and all that. So anyways, cold email worked extremely well. And the nice thing about cold email is it scales very well. So at first I was sending out, 400 or 500 cold emails a day, saw that it was working. We scaled up to, I think, like 5,000 or 10,000 emails a day, saw that that was working, and then we just kept scaling up. And if you do the math, I think per cold email that's being sent out, I think it's like a quarter of a penny or something like that. So it's pretty easy to make it ROI positive. So that was the second way that we got users. And honestly, this was probably my favorite way. Now, we'd send, in the second email, the sales email, we'd send them, well-written, copywritten sales script with links to testimonial videos and then to a YouTube VSL. And this VSL, a video sales letter, it was literally a 4 or 5 minute demo. You can actually probably find it right now on YouTube. If you just type in lead flow, you'll probably see a picture of me with my face on it with a shirt like this, demoing the app version of the product. So when we first launched, we had an iOS app for it too. Now we don't anymore. And I'll kind of get to that later. But that's the VSL that we kind of funnel traffic into. So you can see that video right now probably has only 2,000 views, but those are all views from people that opted in from the cold email. So out of those 2,000 views, over half of them went and downloaded the app, and then our conversion rate of download to subscription was, I think, about like another 30% or something. So a decent amount of people came from that YouTube demo that's 5 minutes long that you could probably still find on YouTube right now. The third and final way that we got users for lead flow was the good old-fashioned meta ads, Facebook and Instagram, I guess. I will say, these ones did bring in users very quickly, just like you'd expect. You make a couple, 10, 20 different ads, you test them, you find the winning one, and then you just scale it up. So I think we ended up, after trying it out for a first month, we ended up breaking even on our cost to acquire a customer for the first month. So if we spend $700 on, well, let's say $300 to keep it simple. If we spend $300 on a Facebook ad, we'll end up getting, you know, a handful of free trial users, and then we'll get one person that stays and converts 7 days later and pays $300 a month for that subscription. So it takes about a month for us, well, actually a month and 7 days for us to see that money again. If they stay, then we get the other 300 from them. So our CAC payback was about like a month and a week. Actually, it was a lot less because 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4 people would go for the quarterly option. So we'd get, you know, $700 up front instead of 300. But that's just to give you an idea. With Facebook ads, as we scaled, our cost to acquire a user increased significantly, and that's why I went so heavy on the cold emails. So out of the 3 channels that were used, the one I recommend the least, for us at least, was Facebook groups. I had a terrible experience with it. However, if our product wasn't location dependent, it would be a super good way to do it. The second best way to do it is Facebook ads. So Facebook ads are super good. If you're familiar with them, you probably already know. The only thing is they're expensive, and unless you have a huge stockpile of cash to just dump into Meta, it's going to take you some time to make money off the users that you bring in, because you're waiting for the second, the third billing cycle to actually turn a profit on them. Meanwhile, you have your own expenses going on. And keep in mind, we're completely bootstrapped. It's not like we have some VC funding or anything like that. And the number one way that we got users that I would recommend was cold email. Like I said, I knew nothing about cold email in the beginning of this year. I had to learn it specifically for this, and I'm glad I did. At peak, like I said, we were sending out 40,000 cold emails a day, and the amount of leads we were getting was insane. So cold email is a super powerful tool. Like if you're in a B2B business, getting customers for any B2B business, software, service, products, anything, cold email at scale is by far, I guarantee you, it's the best ROI you can get for your money to get new customers. So what's next for Leadflow? That we launched, like I said, a couple months ago. So this all happened a couple months ago. Currently, we are working on some enterprise deals, some larger companies, and they are in the works. And the way we got into the room and started talking to these huge multi-million, some even multi-billion-dollar corporations was all through direct outreach, just cold emails and cold calls, and a little bit of LinkedIn as well. We didn't have any of them reach out via Facebook ad. We didn't have any of them reach out actually, we had one via Facebook group, but that's about it. So yeah, that's a little update with Leadflow. That's how I got 1,000 users in 30 days for my B2B SaaS. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. My Instagram is linked below. You can comment, subscribe for more videos, check out the other content on my page. Other than that, if you found this video helpful, useful, encouraging for your software, your SaaS, if you're building one, launching one, I love connecting with you guys, so feel free to reach out, send me a DM. My name's David. Have an amazing day.